Hello everyone and welcome back to Covetous Imp Gaming. Today I want to talk about tracking extra things in your games and ways that your party might work around them and reasons why you might want to track them, things like that. If you haven't done so already, please like this video, leave us a comment below about videos you'd like to see in the future, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you're alerted to our future content, and check us out over on Facebook and Patreon. Those links are down below. First thing for new DMs, steer clear of all these obscure rules that some people tend to implement out of frustration and focus on tracking combat, tracking initiative, keeping your NPCs in line, basically. So the first one I want to talk about is encumbrance. And I think everybody gets to this point with some groups where they want to track encumbrance because they've just become the, we're going to loot everything. Now, your 20 strength barbarian can, without a doubt, carry 47 great swords or 3 suits of full plate or whatever, but the actual logic behind it isn't there. That being said, I don't think that there's much of an interaction between exhaustion and encumbrance where there should be. Your party's going to be quick to, as soon as encumbrance starts to become a topic, probably look into investing in like a horse and a covered wagon. And that's great because it then takes that burden back off of you. However, if you feel like the horse and wagon are getting abused, you can always make the horse kind of skittish going into a certain area because it senses danger in the air and doesn't want to go all the way up to the front door of this dungeon that you're leading your party to. Another thing you can do is if you have this group that just wants to loot everything, and they go back to a small town and they try to sell it all, maybe limit the amount of gold, like in Skyrim, limit the amount of gold that a vendor has to buy things with. And buying everything that the party drops on the counter might, set them up for failure in the future. They're going to have not enough money on hand to support their families. So the next one is the weather effects. So the extreme hot, the extreme cold. Yes, these are things that can exhaust people and add more layers to your game, but ultimately it's something that your players are going to adapt to. It's not going to be a long-term thing. Eventually, your characters are going to see people that are just naturally surviving out in these environments, and if for nothing else, they're going to adapt the way that they're playing to, in the cold, I'm going to layer up, put a layer of fur underneath my plate so that, I'm not extra cold, or we're walking through the hot desert and the sun's beating on us. They're either going to go to traveling at night or they're going to take layers off. So ultimately, while this could be something that you institute early on in a game, as your players adapt to it, it's going to be something that slowly falls off and stops being something that you need to track and worry about. So the next one I want to talk about is tracking food and water. And for me personally, I like to offer people in this collection of magic items that I tend to give out very early on in every campaign. One of the things I offer is a decanter of endless water. And that just, while it does have some comedic effects from time to time, it does take the water issue right off of the board. And it gives them it lets them focus on the game at hand rather than a resource management game. As far as food goes, they start with rations. Obviously, inns, taverns, things like that are always a good source of food. But in those survival games, when you're going out into the jungle for 14 days at a time, having someone just say, like, I have 14 rations, I'm good, should really be enough. And the fact that they have access to things like Create Food or Goodberry certainly would put them over the top as far as preparation goes in that. I know, like in Tomb of Annihilation, there was like the mosquito thing, and again, having access to just a little bit of extra gold, there was like a bug repellent that they could get in like the main hub town that kind of just scratched that off the list also. So while you can introduce all these different rules into your game, be ready for your players to find a solution to them and take them back off your plate. And if you feel that there's still an issue, there's always ways to work around and have it be like a a nudge problem instead of a campaign long problem. So I personally, I don't do encumbrance. I don't really track food and water that strictly. And I've tried to run games where it was very survival heavy in, the frozen wastes. And I tried to bring this survival heavy game 2 times to 2 separate groups. And both groups wanted to have a more like fun, easygoing time. So that strict survival aspect doesn't always fit with every group. And, you have to protect the fun of D&D before you introduce a rule that might not work at your table. So that's all I've got for this video. I hope you guys liked it. Leave me a comment below about the things that you liked about it, the things you didn't like about it. And we appreciate all the support, and we'll see you next week.